run across some other people, train them if you don't like them.
Ben.
Excuse me.
All right. Welcome. We are here for Pantheon Plus U number 67, and we are super excited to be here. Another exciting dev stream. I like this one a lot. Lots of new footage, lots of new stuff, a little bit of lore for Therek even.
A whole lot of lore.
We'll take a Therek dev stream.
Yeah, that's right. All that other stuff is kind of blurry. It's like I'm just focused on that lore piece. Everything around it was kind of like, what else happened? I don't know.
Little JN reading. It's a very, very cool.
It was great, man. It was great. Yeah, no, I love it when they do a little bit of everything, and everybody gets a little something. So, and I like the bumpers, little segment, little new formatting on there, and some humor thrown in there. Although I don't know what you guys, where did the humor land for you guys?
I liked it. It was very minus,
very minus.
It was super minus, but it was good. I think it was well done. It was professional, but also funny. So I liked it, especially the correspondent.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It was pretty funny, but it just cracks me up. I mean, it's good that everything's not super serious.
Yeah.
So
the man loves his voice filters. I'll just say that the man loves his.
There was
voice
a
filters.
lot of voice filters in this one. A lot of voice filters. So
yeah,
that's pretty.
But
funny.
I mean, overall, content-wise, it was pretty good. Nothing groundbreaking in terms of news. We did get a little bit of a bit about the vinyl and where they're at with vinyl, and I think that for me, that was what I wanted to hear the most was an update on the network stack, and I know you guys kind of feel that way too.
I had some news I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I was pretty blown away with the couple of bits they threw out there at the beginning.
I had some little bits there. I got my notes, but I'll let you guys go first. So, Derek, let's start with you. Let's get the lore bit out of the way, and then we'll move on talking to the important stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't want to go into the whole story that was told, but I will just a couple names that stuck out to me when they're reading the lore, and if anybody's watching knows the lore. The House of Seville, which was mentioned in the very beginning of the story. Now, this is related to Blackrose Keep. Because the sort of the Lord of Seville, the House of Seville, I guess, if you go back to some of the really old lore, talks about that story has been told with more detail now, but that story has actually been told before, and it's connected to the founding of Blackrose Keep. And then they went on and Jan talked about Queen Amanthiel. Or Menthiel, I can't remember how he pronounced it, but her story is very cool too. And he called her the Queen of the Burning Heart. I think I wrote it down somewhere.
Yeah,
which is something I hadn't heard before, so I don't know what that refers to. It's kind of an interesting little nugget. And then naming sort of the noble house in Thronefast, that was sort of Rose. The Ventori noble house is the way that is how he described it, and it just dropped lots of little names along the way. So when we're playing, eventually when we're playing and we see names and we can start to put pieces together. That's what I love, man. That's what I'm here for, and that's like the kind of stuff that I dig into it so hard, right? I always want to find all those connections, and then the last thing, the G'dai Bandits, which is not an unfamiliar name. We've seen some on-stream battles. I think when Minus was telling the story about his PA adventures, that was part of it. Was going and finding those G'dai Bandit camps and doing some of those. So now we're getting some story as to how they came to be, who they are and what they're all about, which to me is awesome. And it's all stuff that I just I love to piece this stuff together. So yeah. That's for me. That was the highlight, and like I said, everything else surrounding that kind of is like a little blurry for me.
That's awesome. Well, Mr. Nathan Napalm, I got a feeling you're going to steal some of my thunder, but I will cede the floor to you.
Yeah. So first of all, boats, right? Like, dude, I knew the rafts with the summoners, right? They've talked about that before. So I knew there was going to be some, but to be honest, I was thinking more along the lines of if your swimming skill, you can't swim across this certain part of the dungeon or this river, and you got a summoner, they can get across or what. I wasn't really thinking about actually being able to get a big boat and like get your whole party on it. And
You weren't thinking
or-
oceanic travel.
No, I wasn't thinking that at all. I was thinking future content, like expansions. They may do something like that, not base game. That's some pretty epic level stuff for base game. And then completely selfishly, the alpha and being able to stream it, dude, that's really like the most exciting thing I could have heard with my ears, minus some, not, I mean, there could be more exciting things, but those things are not likely at this point. But like hearing that we can stream and that the NDA is going to allow us to do that during alpha is epic level stuff, like content for days, right? Like months, whatever. Like that's exciting, dude, because there's nothing I've wanted to do more than make content in Terminus. Like that's what I want to freaking do, So selfishly, I could almost cry just even hearing that that's how it's going to be.
Well, they did say considering, right? I'm not trying to throw a cold water.
They're gonna do it though. They're gonna do it. Aren't you, Jaffa? You're gonna do it.
Well, listen to me. I mean, think about this, right? I mean, honestly, it would be foolish not to. Think about the number of pledges that'll draw in. If you can stream, or if there's relaxed NDA and they consider, allowing some streaming of alpha, I mean, it just makes good sense, from a business perspective, if nothing else. But I'm right there with you, Nathan. Man.
Now, I would say this, and this is probably why they say that, right? Because they could be like, okay, not at the beginning of alpha, right? Because we may hit a lot of major hurdles with that many people flooding in, right? So it may be like, let us make sure everything's stable. Maybe not the first session of alpha or however they do it, but then things get more stable. Like, okay, now we're opening up. So during alpha, maybe not necessarily as soon as alpha drops, right? Yeah. And because I do think they need to be smart about that, right? I personally don't want to go live and have these major problems and new people come in and be like, oh, game's garbage. And you know what I mean? So I think that, kind of Ashes of Creation did a similar thing, right? Where they had alpha and then when they got to the right point, they opened it up and let people stream it. So.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking the other day after one of our Tuesday streams, and we're like, man, wouldn't it be so cool when we can play Pantheon and stream Pantheon all together as a group? And just like that possibility for that to happen in alpha is just super exciting for me. And just being able to get everybody together and stream as a group, and dude, I mean, we're this is what we're here for, right? This is Pantheon Plus. Like we stream other MMOs and we're doing other MMOs, but that's just to fill the time, right? That's what we're really here for is Pantheon. And so that like carrot out there that just is coming at some point was the most exciting thing for me too. And again, it's selfishly, but I don't care.
No, you're okay to be selfish. We all can be selfish here,
right? The other thing that was super exciting for me, I like the death mechanics. I know that some people are anti-death mechanic, but they solidified the death mechanics, and then they added durability, which I thought they weren't going with durability. Last I remember, there was no durability, but apparently now durability's back.
No, there was. I remember when they talked about that a little while ago. Because I was asking, it was on the rewind, we were talking about it, and Joppa was in chat, and because I asked, can weapons break? Like, will you have a situation like Breath of the Wild where your weapons can get broken? And he said, no, that's not how it's going to be. Like, weapon durability is a thing, but you're not going to be able to, like, you're not going to lose your weapon due to lack of durability. So that was reassuring to me because I wasn't too keen on the durability thing.
Right.
It doesn't really matter to me as long as my weapons can't be destroyed by it, then I'm okay.
Well, yeah, and then you're losing all your items that you don't have equipped, and then your coin or whatever, and then you are taking an XP hit. So that's interesting. They didn't say if you would lose a level. They didn't say that. Before, I think they've said that they're not going to do that. But
yeah, I think so too. That's my recollection as well.
I remember them saying that there wasn't going to be any level loss, so maybe like an XP debt situation.
So you know what that means. If you're like about to need to port anyway, and you just leveled up, then Ranger Gate
It's
it.
Ranger
Ranger
Gate.
Gate time.
It's Ranger Gate City.
Oh man, it is what it is.
Oh,
It is what it
Ranger-
is.
It
You
doesn't-
leveled up. You deserve a free port. You leveled up, all right?
Yeah.
No, but it doesn't. No, but if it's debt though, that means you're going to be paying it back.
Oh, wait a minute, though. You still would.
Yeah,
wait a minute.
you
That
still
really
have-
wouldn't work because your stuff would be laying on the ground still. So
Yeah.
Ranger gating still would not be good.
You're gonna lose
that'd
all
be-
your coin.
That wouldn't work. Yeah.
Naked Ranger Gate. You give all your things to your friend.
As long, yeah,
and then
that's
you
right.
Naked Ranger Gate.
See,
Loophole!
it took
There
Draq
you
about
go.
2 minutes to start gaming the system before he figured out the.
Yeah, you're like,
expert
here,
there.
peasant, take my things, and I'll meet you in town. I have important business to do.
What are you talking
meanwhile-
about? I'm going to be the one. I'm the wizard. I'm taking the people's things.
And then Draq's friend was never seen again.
Yeah, it's a true
Ran
story.
away with all your stuff.
Never seen again. That's right.
It's 100% true.
Yeah. No, it's good though. It's good. Lots of good information.
Yeah, and chat said something that is interesting that I don't think anybody's ever asked or it's ever been brought up, which is corpse dragging. It's got to be in, right? Like that's got to be a thing with that type of death penalty, right?
Yeah.
Hard to say that. I don't think they've ever confirmed that. I don't think
They
they've ever
haven't.
said anything about it. So you assume
No, I'm asking,
so, but
I know I'm asking for a lot here, and I'm not asking for it. I'm just saying, like, I'm just theorizing here. But wouldn't it be cool if dragging was a whole thing where, like, like it's got its own animation and you're slower
Ooh.
when you're dragging, and like you would see some in the distance just literally dragging a body like down a cliff to get it closer to town, and just make it like its whole thing where it's like you're more vulnerable now because it's locked camera angle and you're or whatever. Like that would be kind of cool.
No, I like that a lot.
And for a full party wipe, like chat said, like Wizen said, you have to get a cart and just put all your friends in the cart.
oh my god! Can you level up your corpse dragging? Is it a skill you can level up? Like you've gotten better at corpse dragging.
You're like, guys, I'm coming to get your corpses. Don't worry, I'm max level corpse dragger.
I'm a max level corpse dragger.
Bring out your dead.
Tip the man on the way out,
man.
people. Tip the man on the way out.
You know what?
Yeah, tip your corpse dragger.
Oh man, that's funny. Well, hey, they did say in the last crafting and the last dev roundtable that coin weight is no longer a thing. So, your corpse won't be as heavy at least. So, you do need to drag it.
I'm glad that coin weight isn't there.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess
I
I'm
remember
the only guy that likes coin weight. It's sad.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, that was Nefel's bean on the last dev roundtable.
All right. Well, enough about what we think. Who are we? We're just a couple of dudes here. What does the Pantheon community think? That's what we really want to get to, right? And this is Pantheon plus you. So that means we need the you. So make sure you join the green room in our Pantheon plus Discord. And make sure you get in there. And Therek will drag you in here. And we will get your opinion live on stream. We're going to put up a little poll today. Little poll action.
We haven't had a good poll in a long time.
We haven't had a poll. So how do you rank the May Pantheon dev stream? Let's see if I can make this work. Start. Oh, and there it is. Amazing.
And I see Nefel's in chat. He did say, I think there were a few more beans that I dropped. At least I thought so. Yes, there were many more beans. Nef, don't worry. We're not shortchanging your awesome roundtable, especially schematics, which we're going to talk about that on the rewind this weekend, I think. So I got lots to say about your schematics because it's exciting.
Yes.
So if you want to join the green room, I just want to mention Des did drop a link in the chat there. You can see the link to our Discord. Just head on in there and jump into the green room and we'll be on the show.
Derek's gonna go ahead and start leveling up his corpse dragging by dragging live people in. Live dragging.
That's right. I don't drag corpses. I drag real live bodies.
He's about to. Are you about to switch over to Rogue, Therek? Are you switching DPS classes?
No, I can't do it. I need my Ranger Gate. That's all I get. Okay, so do you want me to pull somebody in?
Let's get somebody.
Okay. All right, so Mana Rohan is in the green room. So Mana Rohan, you're going to be the first corpse pulled onto the show. So I hope you're feeling feeling lively. So if you want to unmute yourself and undeafen your headphones, then I'll play in. Awesome. Okay, so here comes Manarohan. Hey, Manarohan, how's it going, bud?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going
Going
well.
great.
Doing good.
Yeah. What's up? What'd you think?
Yeah. Every time I feel like I can't help myself in talking on these things, but every time I watch this, I watch it later because I'm always trying to get more. There's always something in there that I haven't caught, and I'm like, man, I should have said that. But so I'm sure it will happen this time as well. But I was super excited about the boat portion. But I'm connecting that to the boats and also the mounts, which has been mentioned several times recently in the interview with, I forget his name right now, that Joppa did. But then Joppa's mentioned a few times in regards to being able to go and get a mount just occasionally. You know, you're out in the wild, you have learned how to get a mount of some sort. But what really struck me about the ability to make a boat or as a summoner be able to summon a raft or be able to have that kind of, and I hate to use this word, but agency. You know, I'm able to take advantage of what I have in front of me. Like, what is in my hand? I can use that. You know, so within the world, and so I thought that was really exciting to be able to say, you know, I am in this world and I have choices to make in the world. I'm not just, oh, I have to go use the boat service because that's the only service out there. You know, I have to go to the horse vendor and buy a horse somehow, or buy a whistle that summons a horse for me. You know, I can go out into the wild and I can find a mount for myself. I can go out and I can make a boat or have a crafter make a boat for me, that kind of a thing where I can just go and use it. So it's very cool how VR is making the world. You know, I don't like the hero thing very much, but I do like the idea that I can, if I choose, make my own way. You know, in the world. So I thought that was super cool. That whole idea. I did like seeing the people walking around. I complained about that last time and maybe the time before, is that I wanted to see more people. And NPCs just walking around in the place, and I swear there's a little bit more foliage out there. I think there's not. We're just seeing different screenshots. So I'm super happy about that. But I'm looking in chat and the fellow's talking about crafting and boats and mind blown. Right. I want to be able to. You know, one of the things, looking way back, being an old guy, looking way back and seeing in Star Wars Galaxies, right? I won't mention other games names except for that one time. But it blew my mind that someone could be an architect and create buildings out anywhere. You know, and I thought that was super cool that you could do that, and you could be someone who had some sort of prestige within your guild. Usually, you know, it was like, my guild, I build all the houses for the guild, or these were built for whomever. You know, EverQuest 2 did that as well, where you could see who made that item.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that's, you know, if someone is able to make really cool boats in some way, I don't know what cool means exactly. We'll find out. You know, but I really I just really want to stress how impressed I am every time I think about the thoughts that VR is having about having a world and not just a thing to play.
Yeah,
You know,
I want to go back to what you're talking about, the choices. And what strikes me is, like, it's which resource do you want to use to get to where you want to go. So if you're talking about travel, if I want to cross to the other continent, I've got options. I can build my own boat to get across, or I could hire somebody to build a boat for me, or I can pay a wizard or a druid to port me. Or I maybe, and they haven't said anything about, like, you talked about taming creatures in the wild. you know what if there's a creature I can tame that can get me to the other continent in some way, like some sort of, just to use a ridiculous example, but to ride a dolphin or something across the waves,
Right.
like that kind of thing.
Or jump on Minus's back and just ride him across. That's what I'm looking for.
I tried that once. It didn't work out well.
work.
He's not the best transport vehicle.
All Right.
Yeah, but it is true, right? Like these things really change the world. And I'll never forget, it wasn't even real is what makes this funny. But when I first logged, I played Ultima Online, then I played EverQuest. Ultima Online, you could build your own little houses, people make their own shops. Well, I played EverQuest, and I went to Kinos, and, I saw the little signs and everything, and I thought those were player made. Like, I really did. I was like, oh, this is crazy. Somebody built that little shop there and made this little NPC here sell their stuff. Because there was random stuff in there, right? And I didn't understand the system. So I thought, like, this is player made. But Star Wars Galaxy had it really cool. That was one that did it really well. That it felt, it was like you could make an impact on the world, right? And change it in some way. And even if Pantheon doesn't have the house out in the world, and I really don't think they want that, and I don't know if I want them to do that, but being able to build stuff that changes your locomotion, like a boat, there's just something so cool about that. And there'll be interesting mechanics probably around that, because you can't just put a boat in your pocket, right? So that it's going to get some kind of even crazier things than we're even thinking right now. But yeah, I'm super excited about the thought of that.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I just think back to EverQuest, and like, if I had chosen to get a port from Kinos to Freeport, I could have done that, but I chose to make the death run, right? The run that everybody has done, all the old EQ vets have, done and have memories of that scary run. And that was an experience, right? So I wanted the experience more than I wanted to get to the destination, which, I think that's a sort of a perfect one-to-one sort of example of.
Nope.
Anything else, Man of Rohan? Anything else from the stream that stuck out?
Man, I'm gonna think of more tomorrow. But go ahead.
I got stuff to throw in there. You guys are killing me. No. So what I think about is, of course, making money. There's all these kinds of transportation, and now we're gonna be able to like have player made like little side jobs, and dude, as a wizard in EQ porting people around, that was like a little side hustle, right? You sit there and you port people to the plane of hate, you port people to plane of sky, you port people all over the map, right? That was super fun, and you got to know people, and most importantly, you got lots of money. So I think, like,
most importantly, above all else, I got rich.
Lots of gold. So, but think about like but in addition to that, right, they're talking about porting, but they're also talking about like boats. And so if you have a boat and you can take other people on it, and there's an island that doesn't have a teleport on it, then you can ferry people out to the island, and then they can have a new adventure. And, obviously they'll tip your boat guy, right? So, and like all this stuff, all this different type of travel and exploration type of stuff, it all opens up that type of like interacting with each other, needing people to do stuff, making the community and the people on the server get to know each other, and making it a world. And so that is super exciting to me.
And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a business in Pantheon where very low cost. It's not about, unlike Draq, this is not about making gold. Right?
Wait, do we need to talk first before you say this out loud?
No, because you'll pull me into the gold scheme. So what it will be is I'll get myself a ferry, okay, a little ferry boat, and I'll do tours right around the continents, and we'll have certain spots. We'll have a high level group with us from the guild to protect the people on the tour, and we'll take them to little areas like the openings of dungeons, and we'll go around the continent. We'll do tours of the continent for new players, so you can see all the cool stuff without the danger of dying. And and we'll charge them a paltry few copper or whatever. It'll be a lot of money for them because they're new players. We'll do tours. That's going to be my shtick.
I've already got you beaten. I've already figured out how to beat you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do tours, except I'm going to have Therek narrate the tours, and then I'm going to charge a lot of money.
You know what? I'm up for bidding. Who wants me more? Who wants me as a narrator?
Pretty bad, because if you could tell the lore of the areas, like, oh, and this is where the great Queen of Hearts or whatever, Burning Hearts, like, if you could throw that in there, I mean,
I'm gonna say Nathan needs me more now at this point. So I'm gonna go. Nathan is currently my employer, but Draq, if you
this is a community service, not necessarily a make them gold.
I think
service.
we both know I'm going to be able to pay more.
Well, we'll see about that, man. Money talks.
Who do you love more, gold or the community? Therek, go.
Oh, I love our golden community. I'm going to say that.
Well, who didn't know someone who created a druid or a wizard just to make that money,
100%.
right? Or
100%.
right. So most of us did something like that, and I think it's super good that there are other opportunities for that. I think I keep looking back at when they described the gate and talked about, hey, how are you going to get there? Are you going to climb? Is a druid going to make a bridge? Are you going to be able? They were offering other opportunities, and coming back down to that big idea is, you were just talking about having a service that goes around and gives safe passage to people. What VR seems to be doing, and I'm super fanboy, so I'm not a good litmus test for being realistic on these kinds of things. But when it comes to looking at, Nathan already has a really interesting idea that some people are going to do, right? It's not and Draq is going to do another thing, and the creativity is just available. They're making a framework that allows the creativity to happen.
Yeah,
And
enabling it,
yeah.
enabling the community creativity. I totally agree with you,
So
and
true.
I've felt like that for a long time because I think that's
Mm-hmm.
super important. And you're exactly right.
So the last thing, I'm looking at, and I'm excited to see new things in, new buildings, new textures, new things like that. But I'm really excited to see, of course, what it looks like at the final. I saw CR. Chris Rowan was saying, I can't wait to foliate that, and I agree, in the trees. So I'm really enjoying every step of the process. Of course, I'm anxious, like everyone else is, to get to be able to experience it in a deeper way. But I'm happy to just be along for the ride, really, honestly. So that's it. Thanks, guys.
Oh man, that's
No
great
problem.
stuff. Yeah,
Fantastic.
for sure. And if anybody doesn't know, go check out Mana Rohan's YouTube channel. He makes some awesome, funny song videos, and he's super talented and like way more talented than the three of us are. So go check out his channel. It's definitely worth your time.
Thank you. I
Right on.
appreciate it.
We'll talk to you later.
Yep. See you guys.
Okay,
Bye.
see ya.
Later, man.
Bye.
All right, all right. How about Essen next? Essen's been in the green room for a bit. So Essen, if you want to unmute your mic and whatnot, I'll pull you in as soon as you do. There you go. Okay, all right. Hey, Essen, how's it going?
Profits before peasants.
Wow. Did Draq pay you to say that?
Coming in hard.
No, they said that during the lore segment. I was like, oh my God, that's my bumper sticker. I just want that tattooed to my arm.
You
Perfect.
are absolutely right, man. I got to give you props for making that connection there. You are absolutely right. That's what happened to that area was they put profits before the peasants. Everything got, screwed up. All the, the people got angry, and then what did they become? There was a name, the Deserted. So it was like this village of like, ex-soldiers and all these things, and they got exploited, and it became very, a lot of resentment, a lot of hatred towards the authorities that put them in that position. So
There.
I can't wait to read that more and get a better sense of it. But that was my initial stuff.
Therek, I just figured out my backstory for Pantheon. I'm the exploiter.
Yeah, the
For
exploiter.
Theric.
Draq the Exploiter. Wow.
I-
That sounds like a raid boss.
I couldn't tell. I got confused there if Therek was explaining the lore from Pantheon or Reddit. It seemed pretty similar.
Yeah, it does. Sadly, it does. I don't know. Maybe I'll go on Reddit and tell a story, and they'll be like, "Oh, you're here finally."
Oh boy. Good
Draq
luck.
the Exploiter sounds that. There's a ring to that. There's something about that. I don't know, man.
I'm thinking that's gonna have to be the backstory somehow.
So Essen, you liked the lore a lot. You liked hearing the story of Avelia and the surrounding area.
I like the lore. I liked how they've put character into the game. For example, the Sohirith, the city with they added the honey, and like anyone could say like, oh, they just put some honey in the game, but mine has said like, oh, they really love honey, and so you look at it and they're adding specific character into the game to make it not just like any city in the trees, whatever, but it's got character. They like honey. They've got a bar, right? They're into this, they're into that. It makes it a unique city in the trees. It gives it some kind of feel to it, and I really appreciate that. It makes the game much, much deeper. And it's really easy to do, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I agree, man. This last time when they showed the footage of Sorhireth, and I'm trying to say it right because I have to break myself of saying it the wrong way, and they pointed it out on stream, which was great. But when they showed it last time, I was seeing the concept art which they're showing. I saw it sort of placed, and I'm glad that this is like great that this was the next follow-up stream to that, because they're just really showing this city being built out and all these little details, and are building it up into this wonderful looking place, and all these with character, like you say, us, and it's small details but gives it a lot of character, and some concept art there from Jared. I want to go through that and read those notations, which we're sort of seeing on the screen at the moment. I want to read what they say about it, and I like those concept art shots because I think they add they just add detail and character to it.
Yeah, I like the shots with no railings. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What did you
I
think of
wanna
the zip lines and the gliders?
So before that, like Nathan pointed out, like we saw summoners had rafts, and now we have boats, right? It was in the game, and they just expanded upon it. So gliders in the city means potentially gliders for players. And I am vehemently against flying mounts, but 100% for gliders.
Yeah,
It's
that is different.
completely different.
Because you got to get the height first before it's even useful, right?
Right. Flying discourages exploration, and gliding encourages exploration because you want to climb to that highest spot, and it's still difficult.
Good
So
point.
I think that's awesome.
I've had this debate in my head actually for quite a while, because I knew this was not a possibility, but I knew that the idea could easily come into the game design, because Breath of the Wild is an influence on the design here for sure. Gliding is a big part of that game. And I've always sort of, thought, on one hand, I like it. I do like it in Breath of the Wild quite a bit. On the other hand, in Pantheon, I wondered how much it would take away from the climbing aspect. And I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about it. If it was something they did outside of just Sorhireth, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I think I would need to be convinced that it might be applicable in other areas.
Let me ask you a question. If you had a glider, would you be inclined to climb more or less?
Good question.
More,
Totally
I think.
Totally more.
Because I think that's why it was in Breath of the Wild, because it only adds to the climbing situation where you glide over to climb. Like that's typically 90% of the time in Breath of the Wild, you glide and then you climb, because you end up on the face of a cliff or whatever, and then you got to climb from there. So I think it encourages it. And I want to say one more thing before I forget, because we're talking about the zip lines and all that they showed there in the city. I just want to give a fair warning that be careful during alpha, because you don't want to be the first person to test halfling technology. It's just not.
It's no technology.
Yeah.
They're drunks.
I don't know. I definitely wouldn't be. The thing is, I think what my reservation would be, maybe, if because gliding in Breath of the Wild is used to get distance, like you get quite a bit of distance when you glide. If it's a thing about getting down from a height, I might be more inclined to want something like just a feather fall mechanic put in, or just a safe fall ability, or a spell that can be cast on you, or some sort of, a piece of equipment that just, you can't actually get the far distance. It just gets you down safely. Maybe that might be something I could see more readily in Pantheon. But I don't know. I guess, and I'd want to see how it works in Sorhireth, if it is a system where you can get some distance between the platforms, or it's more like just a method of getting down from the platform. I don't know. What do you guys think?
And there could be some endurance system to it, so you can't glide like forever, just like Breath of the Wild, I'm sure. And you want to be really careful where you're landing, because if you land like in a slightly the wrong spot, you're just going to get slaughtered, right?
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
That's
and
true.
weather would affect it, right? So if it's real heavy wind and it kind of veer you off, and you would end up somewhere in some briars when you were attempting to fly out into the plains. You know what I mean? Like there could be a lot of.
Wait, are you breaking beans here that weather is going to affect gliding? Is this in fact
I mean,
information?
look, based on the progression and what we've seen, it definitely would. If it was in the game, we're totally theory crafting here. So
No, but
you could.
in all seriousness, if it didn't, it would be weird, wouldn't it? Like if it was super windy,
right.
like we saw in those last few streams, and you're on a glider and it doesn't have any effect, wouldn't that feel weird?
yeah,
And
imagine
just
getting
like-
hit by lightning in the middle there.
Oh, lightning, that would suck. But just like the other systems that they put a little bit in place and they're expanding upon it, like the summoners rafts and the boats and the gliders and the, main gliders potentially, like they already have a mechanic in the game of wind that moves you, right? It's the not the frigid. What is it? They showed it in one of the rating things where if you're not acclimated enough, the wind will move you.
Yeah, it was in the sleepless area there, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Sleepers.
So they already have that in the game. So
That's true.
applying that to gliders is not a far stretch at all.
Yeah, wind shear. Thank you, chat. That was
Wind shear.
Now, somebody in chat brought up another good point about our whole conversation here, though, which is, does gliders take too much away from the fear of falling, though? Right? Should it?
Yes.
I think you should have to equip it. It's
No,
not
I
like
definitely
once
think
I fell.
Yeah.
Well, then too late. You're not going to have time to go equip your glider
Right.
and use it. It can't just be like you press this button, you glide. You need to purposefully get out your glider and use it.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah. And I would just like to say that, like, VR is getting a lot of mileage out of no flying mounts, right? I mean, like they said no flying mounts. And then at first it was like, well, that doesn't make, like, that makes sense because we're into climbing, right? So you can't have flying mounts and have climbing. Well, now it's like, well, yeah, but not having flying mounts opens up so much stuff. Right? Because it would be stupid to have gliders if you had flying mounts, right? That would be dumb. It would also be stupid to have boats, player-made boats. Like, why would you go around in a boat if you have a flying mount? And, like, all this stuff is a direct result of not having flying mounts because flying mounts destroys all those mechanics. And so they are just, like, leaning into not having flying mounts, and I love it. It's great.
Yeah, and
Excellent
Joppa just
point.
said flying mounts are persistent. Gliding is governed by endurance. Big difference, which is true. And you're right. Like by avoiding, and by the way, it was a big popular MMO who mentioned that the biggest regret was flying mounts because they said everybody skips the content. Like big deal MMO main developer said that like what's your biggest regret of features added to the game, and it was flying mounts, and that's fairly common.
Yeah, and we know that you've played the game with flying mounts. You fly over everything. It kind of sucks.
Yeah,
and I always just keep going back to what Joppa said. As long as he's there, no flying mounts in Pantheon. So I'm holding that quote to.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it.
Just for that. I mean, it's only cool let's be honest. It's only cool when it's first launch and you first get one in the first time you fly. And then after that, you are actually regretting it. You're playing the game, using it, and you're kind of regretting it. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's not worth it.
I'll throw a really, really random thing out there. So Ted Kaczynski, Unabomber, right? You saw that coming. He talked about technology as actually not liberating, but kind of like a shackle. So like when they first invented the car, it's like, oh, everyone can drive a car. That's amazing. We go anywhere we want. And now everyone's driving 45 minutes to work every day, right? Mm-hmm. So it was something that was liberating, and now it's just like, it sucks. It sucks so bad. So you got to be really, really careful with what you wish for and like ease of use, because flying is just like seems like such a great thing. It's so much freedom, but it is exactly the opposite.
That's a good point. Definitely.
Yeah,
did you just praise the Unabomber? It's a good point.
I was praising you.
Let's just
I see what you did there, Essen, you son of a gun.
That was definitely recorded too. I don't know.
Get me
That sounds like a short to me. That sounds like a short.
Please don't, Draq. Okay, Essen, carrying on. Is there anything else you want to say before I kick you back to the green room?
One quick thing. I whisper into Joppa's ear. Dear Joppa, we know that rogues have ropes. Give us hook shots. We all want hook shots. That's all.
Lobbying for the hook shot, eh?
Makes every game better. Every single game is better with hook shots. Prove me
Hookshot is
wrong.
pretty
Oh
cool.
my
Hook
goodness.
shots are pretty cool.
Prove me wrong.
We got dual wielding spears. We got hook shots. We got jugglers. The Pantheon community is all full of all kinds of people that want their custom thing in Pantheon.
We got mimes now too, right?
Mimes. Oh yeah, Mimes was
Yeah.
created on Tuesday.
They fight with emotes only.
Oh, Choppa just confirmed in chat. Hook shots. There we go. We're done. Thanks, guys.
You bet. Wow.
Gnomish grappler. There you go.
That was pretty crazy. Wow, that's a speed of implementation I have not seen in the past. That's crazy. Well, you've done your work for tonight. I think your work here is done. I'm gonna get you back to the green room. Thanks for jumping in, man.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Edsel.
fellas.
All right. Well, we are down to our final green room participant, and it is our buddy Desrin. So, Desrin, your turn is up. I'm bringing you in. What's up, Des?
The caboose.
It
Guys,
What up?
was a pretty short train tonight. You didn't have to wait too long, Des.
yeah. I would love to get more people in here. Actually, surprising to get such a small room after last time was such a banger.
That's true. And I have to just point out in chat, thank you, Wizen, for immediately clipping that. My Unabomber praise, please.
Yeah, I saw that. Hey, but wait a minute. Are we saying that lore doesn't bring all the fans to the yard?
It
Is that what's
should.
happening here? It should.
It
What's
should.
going on here?
Should. You can't. Not everybody can have great taste. What can I tell you?
I did really like that comment that Ro made about lore being a distinguishing feature of Pantheon, because I do truly believe that, and I think that's displayed tonight. Just the detail in each small location that has rippling effects of all the mentions of different historical figures, for example, that are already prominent in the lore we have. It's like it's all connected, and it is a world, and I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, totally. You know what? Our friend Ben and I, who is like an expert when it comes to throne fast politics and the workings of the inner court of Queen Amethyel and the lineage back to Avendir, he's an expert. He knows more about that than I do. So I'm really excited to see what he does with this, because he's done a lot of fan fiction. If you're not familiar with him. That talks about this stuff. So I think he's probably got a lot to work on here. But you're right, Des. Like, these details and these connections, all interconnectedness really brings it to life. So good point.
Yeah, it would be one thing if I could compare it to, some other projects out there that try to like make up. It almost seems like they're making up lore on the spot. They're just making up kind of a story to suit a particular area, just so that it sounds like it's more than just a thrown together, whatever the heck. But whenever we get lore, it's all interconnected. It's all like grounded. And so we know that Pantheon's not just thrown together. It actually is, a breathing world that has history and things you could trace back if you really wanted to. And I think it's a really big distinguisher.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with their process, right? Where like they don't build the thing until they've gathered the lore, gathered the story for that area, etc., and then they begin to build, right? So it's like that makes it more visceral, right? And that makes it, like you said, like it's real. Like this has history and things happened here, and there's a reason for all of what you see.
That's true, Nathan. I feel like that in a lot of games. I feel like in a lot of games, the world is built first, and then they just sort of fill story into, that seems like it would go well with the world that they built. And it's backwards. It's totally backwards. I
get to the end, and I'm like, but what about all the questions I had? And it's like nothing makes sense.
Yeah, they don't have answers. They don't have answers because it's not connected. It's all just kind of thrown out there to make enough sense to grip you for a moment, and then just hope that you forget about everything because you're just clicking through and not reading and everything. Although that's a bit of a dig at you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, but I did kind of mean it.
Draq's fully aware of his.
I'm fully aware
lack
of my clicking.
Yeah,
It's not a
I know. I watched you go through that tutorial.
And I was just gonna say, I think Mana Rohan in chat is there's a mention of Elden Ring, and this is exactly what I'm thinking with Elden Ring. I'm like, it's so amazing how the lore is so foundational and everything is there from the lore. Nothing feels like the lore was just placed on top of this world. And I love that about that game. So yeah. What else? What else did you like tonight, Des?
Well,
Or didn't like, or felt mediocre about?
oh, I'm really front loading my like positives here. Another thing that I really liked was just the sheer amount of mostly new footage that we had. That was a nice treat. And I know some people some people being Man of Rohan, mentioned, maybe not seeing as much life. But you will note in some of those shots, you will actually see some NPCs running through, I should say just mobs, creatures running through the grass at least. So it's not, I think Minus mentioned that a lot of their camera tools, you won't see the mobs because of how they record. But there are a few shots in there that do have some element of movement and AI.
There's a skeleton in one of the shots with the runes there. I don't know if you guys caught that little skelly hanging out in front of the runes there. That was pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I feel like that. I don't know if I'm right on this, but it reminded me of some of the really, really old streams, and I kind of wonder if that's a really old model.
Yes, there is a piece of concept art from like the super early days of a skeleton that looks just like that. I thought that too, man. Crazy.
Yeah, on the note of kind of the footage, another kind of positive that I just want to keep reiterating every time I can is I love this content trajectory we've gotten with Wild's End. If you remember a while back, I was really kind of hoping to see a more start to finish, like holding our hand through one area so they don't have to show everything, but it can still give an idea of progress. And I feel like we are getting that with Wild's End. And my only stipulation with that is I do wish they would mention, if this is the case, if this isn't the case, then maybe not, but I wish they would mention that, hey, this isn't like the only part of the world we're working on. We're also working on these other places, and maybe they don't show them, but just knowing they're working on some other places. So you're not thinking that, every month we come back to Wild's End and, we see a few little extra things.
Ronick actually did confirm that last stream because people were saying that.
He's all over you in chat right now, Desrin.
Yeah,
he's all over you.
He said like there's a lot going on the back end that we just keep private, right?
Right. It's one thing to say that. I'm actually going to come back on this because you have to be a little more specific with the public, because there may be people that don't watch every stream, that are popping in every once in a while to take a look. And they might not have seen the last 3 streams, and they come back and they see, well, they have a little bit more in Wild's End, and it pays to kind of just mention, hey, we also made progress in these other areas, instead of kind of a vague, we also do other stuff kind of a thing, blanket statement,
Yeah.
Well, but they got the newsletter coming out next week. That's kind of where they do their, hey, here's where we did progress in this area, that, the percentage thing.
Yeah. I like the percentage thing, by the way.
Oh yeah, me too.
I don't know how accurate it is, because it's got to be hard to really, but you know what I mean. It's nice to see something to kind of give you a little bit of a idea of how it's coming along.
But, right, and that's what I say with the percentages, and I always come back on certain community members on this, is that percentages are really hard in this kind of thing.
Right.
But again, yes, that is the newsletter. But I think throwing, one sentence in for the videos, which, not everyone reads the newsletter, it might help. Just saying.
Desrin the Hype Killer will not be denied, so just move along.
In this, I'm not even trying to kill hype in this, though. I'm just saying there are a lot of people
valuable feedback.
Don't follow every single part of the development, that one sentence might reassure them a little bit.
Well, those people should be ashamed of themselves first.
I'm with Nathan. I'm with Nathan on that one, 100%.
We're out here to help them. We understand you don't got time to watch your streams, but we make all these videos to tell you what happened.
Help me, help you, help me.
We're trying to help you here.
Help you.
Well, I'm sure, especially all of you guys know that people tend to kind of fall into their little, like, this is what I'm comfortable with, information wise.
That's right.
And with, the other in development games I follow, there are some folks that they'll literally only watch one creator. And that's it. They won't even watch the official stuff. And so what they say, it has a lot of weight. And so that's, It's hard to
I think-
communicate to the public.
Honestly, real quick, while they're here and they're listening to feedback, I want to throw in my biggest feedback I have for VR, period, in all things Pantheon, is I actually really think that the monumental achievement for next play session for pre-alpha needs to have the paladin in it. Like, that's just really got to be there. I just feel like, it would bring everyone together, and I wouldn't have to play a other tank, right? Like, let's get that paladin in there. Still got the clip of Ben Dean with the promise. Come on.
I feel like it's safe. It's safe to say that, according to the newsletters, it kind of seems like the paladin is pretty apt to be in there.
It's
Right?
feeling good. But when you're me, you worry. You have your doubts. You lay in bed at night.
You've been hurt
awake.
before.
Yeah, you've been hurt before. Your heart, you're not ready to.
There's
just
clips
trust
of you
again.
out there killing people. Like I don't even know. Like
Yeah.
No.
The
That was.
dust-
You mean when I was role playing?
yeah. When you're role
role
playing.
playing.
Right.
That's role playing. Right.
That's what we're calling it now.
Desperation has driven Nathan to vile acts.
Because I need that paladin, baby.
Yeah, he does. I don't think we can take it anymore. VR, you're going to have to act on this. I'm sorry. We just can't take it anymore. Anything
Well-
else, Des? What else did you think?
I guess I may as well throw this out here because I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up, because I do think this might be a bit of a issue for some people. And how did you guys feel about the "when is alpha" joke?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's a good question.
I thought
That
it
is
was fine. I didn't. Whatever.
I think when you make fun of the things that it's like you become part of the joke, and it becomes less severe for those who are trying to use it as a weapon against you, right? So you take a spear and you turn it into a Nerf spear by doing that, right? So I welcome it. I think that was a smart 4D chess move, and I applaud it.
I'm gonna take an opposite opinion on you there, Nathan.
Okay.
I wouldn't have done it myself. It's not my strategy. I think because it's such a big question, and it just dogs, not dogs, but like the community around this game. We talked about it last week on the rewind, right, Des? I mean, we talked about how you deal with the people who always constantly say the same thing over and over again in the comments on our content. You say vaporware, you say never coming out, you say 10 years, blah 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 blah, all these things.
2030.
Yeah, right, exactly. And we, it was in chat again tonight. It's just always there, and I just feel like it's too big of a thing to make that kind of a joke about. And I get it, I understand, and I like minus I love you, but it's just not. I wouldn't have felt comfortable enough to make that joke, but I understand. I get your strategy. I understand what you're saying too, Nathan. Like, you can nerf it a little bit.
Yeah.
You can take its fangs away a little bit by making it that kind of a joke.
You think it's too sensitive, though?
I think it's too critical, and I think it's just too. It's too.
I don't disagree with you, but
right now.
let me throw a theory out there. What if they do this every single time, okay, and then one day they freaking answer it?
Oh,
that
man.
would be
How
crazy.
epic would that
Too
be?
much-
How
that's too
epic
much,
would that
Nathan.
be?
Oh,
I
they're
can't
not
take
going to
it.
do it that way.
Now every time they ask it, you're going to be like, "Is this the time?
Here's-
Is this the time?"
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't.
Here's what I
couldn't
think.
take it.
I'm splitting the baby. You ready for this?
All right,
I'm
split
ready.
that baby.
All right, we're splitting.
I'll take the top half.
Okay, here we go. I think it makes no difference whatsoever. They can joke about it. They can not joke about it. I think the doubters are going to be there. I think the trolls are going to be there. I think the people that believe in Pantheon are going to believe in Pantheon, and the people that don't aren't. So if they want to make jokes about it, like it's fine, I can laugh at it. It doesn't bother me in the least, because I'm here for it, right? And so it was kind of a fun moment. So, but overall I don't think it makes a difference. I think it is how it's always been, which is they're gonna have to get to alpha, and then when that happens, none of this is gonna matter. Right. And the all of a sudden, all those people who were doubters are now all of a sudden going to be, I was there since day one. OG.
I think it makes me feel good that they'll even say the word. Because you guys know what I'm talking about. For a while there, it was like,
it was
don't
off.
Even say that word, right? Like,
100%.
don't even say the A word. Don't say it.
Yep.
So being that it's more on the, it's just like we're really getting there now, right? Like
Yeah,
we're
you can definitely look at it that way, and I can make that inference too, that if they're willing to joke about it, it might be imminent. And that's the word that that's probably why I feel the way I do, is because of that imminent word that Joppa threw out at the end of last year. What's imminent? Things are imminent this year. We don't, we're assuming that that's alpha. I mean, let's be honest about what the community assumes about when that was said. So maybe that's just maybe it's a good sign. Maybe it's close because they feel like they can make the joke about like that.
They're making jokes about alpha. They're talking about relaxing NDA and streamers. Like that was a lot of alpha for one stream.
Dude, that was the most they've talked about alpha.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think that is the most they've ever talked about alpha.
Now, guys, they still got a roadmap. Obviously, I'm not saying like it might be this weekend. I'm not being crazy here. I'm just saying that we're moving in a good. And they're starting to feel comfortable with the progression. And
Nathan, don't go full napalm yet. You're still early. It's gonna be okay.
But I want to, Desrin, you asked the question. I mean, you
what
asked.
do you think?
I feel like you have something to say about this.
So I am actually a big fan of like Nathan kind of put it, taking the bullet, turn it into a Nerf. Just by being and mine is said in chat, self-aware and joking in kind of a self-aware manner. I think it utterly pisses off anyone that is already kind of not looking at Pantheon as wanting it to succeed, or at least skeptical about it succeeding. So in one hand, for people that are kind of on the the inside of the joke, it's fun. And it I laughed straight up out loud, when it happened. But at the same time, there was a bit of lack of sensitivity there that I think some people that are like on the fence, as we talked about when we were talking about, the community, that is, maybe skeptical or whatever. I, don't want them to see that and be like, wow, so they just think it's a joke. That I've been waiting for alpha when I thought it was going to be, beginning of the year or last year or whenever. I have to sympathize with those people just a little bit, even though I enjoyed the joke. I know they're out there, and I don't want them to see that as being just them being insensitive to the reality, right? When in fact we know that VR is just very open about the reality of it, and that's why we love them.
Right. That's what sets them apart, makes them different. I've really loved, and I'm going to be honest here, and this may not sound nice or what have you, but I feel like in the last year and a half that VR became humanized. It felt like a company prior. And I feel like in the last year and a half or so ish that they've become humanized, right? And I feel like that's important because that's not something that is normal. But I think it's super important because this is an indie team. So they need to be humans. We need to see jokes and them being self-aware and these kind of, because it's an indie team. If this was like Square Enix doing this, I would be like, whoa, that wasn't cool, but yeah. It's humanizing, I think. And I think that's super cool. And, and I know no matter what they do, there's going to be people that like it or don't like it. It's always going to swing that way. But I'm just saying, if they do that every time, then one day they answer, I will cry.
For sure. Actually, I just want to put it in chat too. Like Joppa mentioned, or Ronek said, here's the thing. If we didn't believe it was on the horizon, would we joke about it, right? So I think we're all sort of, I think we're getting to the core of why why it was okay to sort of make this, make that joke. And it's good to hear, like that. I guess that maybe that's the good that it sparked that conversation, that discussion, right? So.
Yeah, and the saving grace of it, because again, I laughed and I thought it was funny, and I do agree about the humanization of the team. I think that's amazing, and it is one major thing that I refer people to when talking about this project is just how real the team is. But at the same time, I definitely I definitely like wonder how that hit for other people. That's really all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It is interesting. I think we'll hear. We'll hear.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
the saving grace of it, sorry, I already trailed off. The saving grace of it, though, was that they did actually talk more about alpha. I think without talking about the NDA stuff later on, it actually would have felt worse. But since they actually did spill a little bit about alpha, it was like, oh, ha, 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 joke. Oh, hey, actual information. Like, great.
That's a good point.
That's awesome.
That's a really good point. So remember, every time you guys make that joke, we need a bean about alpha in there to kind of smooth it over a little bit,
That's right.
Yeah.
Right on, Des. All right on, man. Anything else on your mind?
Nah, we'll get to the other stuff.
Yeah,
I gotta say, I am more positive about this. This wasn't my favorite stream, but I think a lot of it was good. And the network stuff. I feel like it was a little too minor of a non-update on that, but but it's whatever. I kind of figured that they wouldn't be dropping a big like, hey, it's done. As soon as the show started, I just got that vibe. So.
I kind of feel like that's coming with the newsletter, that they're going to do the network thing on the newsletter, and then they'll probably drop an alpha date on a stream after they drop the networking is done. Then they're going to drop an alpha date probably on a stream somewhere.
I could see that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Cool, man. All right. Well, thanks for jumping in, and we'll talk later. We got the rewind this weekend. We'll talk then.
Heck yeah! See you guys.
All right, buddy. See ya. All right, fellas, that is the green room tonight.
Whoop, whoop.
Anything else to say before call it a night here?
There was one thing we didn't talk about that nobody brought up that I had in my notes, which was they hired everybody. All the positions, all the art positions are filled. That's super cool. I mean, there's not much to really say about it, but like,
well, I do have I want to clarify too, because I'm glad that they clarified that they're new positions, because that was out there in the community. I know we talked about it on the rewind a little bit. I saw it in some comments in a couple other places. So all those positions being new hires and not replacements, and like that's a lot. Like that's a lot of work. The output from those people, I'm sure, is like going to make a big difference in the output that we see as a community and what they show us from development and the pace of development and all that stuff. So yeah, huge.
Absolutely awesome.
Yeah. Expanding the team is really the biggest news we can possibly get at this point, because it's just moving train along the tracks faster,
That's right. They talked a little bit about the pets. I had that in my notes too about the pets. But it was one of those things when they were describing it, I'm like, I need to see this in action, because there was basically the difference between summoner pets, ranger pets, and another like druid pet or another class.
I kind of feel like I heard that stuff before too.
I was just feel like it was being differentiated a little more, like the nature of the pets was being differentiated, but that's something we can break down, I think, maybe, later on or whatever. But I just felt like we're going to need to see it in action, see the class using their pet ability to really understand it. So.
Yeah, Joppa says you're going to have to get those hype meters back out for when they show off the work that they've done. So dust those off.
All right.
Dust them off. Get them ready.
Dude.
Yep.
I got my polls working, so let's go. All right. Well, let's close this thing down then. But before we go, make sure that you check out Mr. Nathan Napal. Mr., as I like to call him, Mr. Full-Time Content Pantheon Creator. So what do you got coming up this week?
Let's see. Tomorrow, P99 stream at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. And then Sunday, I'm doing a Final Fantasy 11 stream with Tetsu and my wife Winter. And then also Sunday night, we do the Weaving the Void, which we're creating characters and moving forward to that. And then Mondays, I do with Ronick, I do the my D&D campaign, Horde of the Dragon Queen, which they're at the end of the first book, epic conclusion coming up, and his NPC that he had met and took a fancy to. The boss they walked in the room on was holding her head, so it's going to be a fun episode next this coming Monday.
Very cool.
You got a lot of stories to keep track of right now, Nathan, don't you? You got a lot of like tales to figure out, remember where you're at and what's going on, and I don't know how you do it.
Dude, I don't know how I would remember from when I was DMing to when I had characters. Like I yet keep that all straight is. Oof.
Yeah.
Well, Therek, what do you got coming up? Another rewind this weekend. No more vacation for you, sir.
Yeah, no, vacation's over. We're back for episode 101 coming up Sunday at noon. So if you don't know the Rewind, it's a weekly podcast that Desert and I host where we talk all things Pantheon. We go over news and notes. We hit some community discussions. We read some lore. I think we'll dive into the human lore this week just because of this stream. Talked a lot about Thronefast, so we need to refamiliarize ourselves with that lore. So I think we'll be doing that. And yeah, we're going to be back. We've got a huge adventuring party from 2 weeks ago for episode 100 that we get to thank everybody and show off their names and future Pantheon races in class, which we love to do. So yeah, Sunday at noon on YouTube. Join me and Des for the premiere, and then we'll see you there.
Perfect. And I just want to give little announcements. We've been announcing it, but so on May 26th, we have the No Sleep Till 40 stream. We're going to be doing the EverQuest TLP servers. We're going to start at level 1. We're going to go all the way to level 40 on the Veniki server, which is level locked at level 40. So we're going to go from 1 to max level all without sleeping. So you can join the EverQuest crew. We stream on Monday nights, and we're gonna be doing that, and we're gonna be streaming all weekend. We'll hit the max level before the weekend's over, so you should definitely check us out when the EverQuest TLPs launch.
You crazy EverQuest people!
Crazy.
It's a good time though.
All right, well, we are gonna do a little rating. So yeah, El Jefe. I've been kind of checking him out lately. He is an EverQuest streamer. And so he's up right now. So we're going to raid his channel. Make sure you support him. And where's my raid button here? Hold on.
Let the raid begin.
Raid. Perfect. All right. So everybody have a great night. And thank you so much for joining us.
See you next time.
Wave bye to the people.